Well, almost 2020. I have a good word that God gave me today. I think it's timely. It's a good word for the day that we live in. I guess I could be free to boast in my own weakness a little bit. God has had to deal with me at times in my life and teach me, as hard as it may be to believe that I'm not perfect.
Sorry.
I'm not perfect by any means. I have gone through some very humbling experiences to teach me that. At the same time, God has had to teach me also that I'm not inferior either. I've struggled with that at times in my life. I've struggled with it at times still today. As I said in my last message, I don't have anything any of my brothers and sisters don't have. At times, I don't feel qualified to be up here. I'm just being honest. Boasting my weakness a little bit. At times I feel as if the call is too great for me. At times I've said, right out of my mouth, you'll never get me up there to do that. Ain't gonna happen. But one thing that I've learned about God through all of this is that He loves and delights in the underdog. He loves the good old underdog story. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, is the underdog. Many of us see ourselves that way. We had Bible study about a few weeks ago, and we talked about God giving us a do-over button. All of us in our lives have had one do-over button. He's given us many of do-overs, many of chances. And throughout all of that, our mistakes, our failures, times we messed up, times we rebelled, times we've been disobedient, somehow He delivers us. We end up back on top. The underdog. He loves to see the underdog on top. Romans 12:3 says, "For by the grace given me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment, in accordance with the faith that God has distributed to each of you." Feelings of superiority and inferiority still today in 2019 are creating problems in our culture, in the church. What am I saying? I'm not referring to racism. I'm referring to a sin issue. I'm referring to a corrupt spirit. A corrupt spirit that says, I'm better than you over here. Or I feel inferior to you over there. We could look through this whole thing with rose-colored glasses and say, oh, it's just flesh, it's just natural. It happens. But as we go into 2020, I've heard some of the prayer today. I've heard some of the things said today. And it's really one of the biggest issues in the church that's hindering us and holding us back. How we see ourselves, how we see each other, how we measure ourselves to the world. I'm here to tell you that darkness is for real and it has an agenda. It has an agenda. And it wants you blind. It wants you ignorant to the truth of who you really are in God. It wants you consumed with stuff. It really wants evil to prevail in every area of your life. It wants you to believe you can be independent from God. It wants you to believe you can be self-sufficient and don't need God. Superior in your own mind, like most of our culture today. Our culture today is one that's really lost in the sauce. It really is. If you don't live over here, if you don't work over here, if you don't drive this, you're insignificant. If you don't look like us, if you don't act like us, if you don't do what we do, you're basically a lame. The Bible says they think it's strange that you don't participate with them in the same flood of dissipation that heap abuse on you. That's what the culture does. That's what the enemy does. That's what the world does. To try to make you feel inferior. To try to make you feel insignificant about yourself. So what we end up doing is we measure ourselves by these things. We measure ourselves by the house. We measure ourselves by the cars, by the job, by the title, by the status. We measure ourselves by these things. It's a superior spirit. It's a corrupt spirit. It's a corrupt spirit that has people thinking that people are constantly watching them. Have you ever been around somebody who's just consumed with people always watching me? I can't go here, I can't go there. They think this about me there, they think this about me here. They have this thing in their mind that somebody's always watching them, cares about what they have, cares about what they look like, cares about who they're hanging out with. They let it dictate everything in their life. I've seen people move behind that actually. I have. It's a corrupt spirit. Because I feel like everybody's looking at me and everybody's watching me. For one, I feel like I can't do what I want to do. And for number two, I feel like I'm always having to keep up with the dangling carrot that society hangs in front of all of us. Dress like me, look like me, be like me. You can be a part. It's a corrupt spirit in the church. Superiority that is not from God. That says since I've been serving God longer or better, or my title or my position is a higher one, it elevates me above you. Because I think so highly of myself, I can be judgmental and I cannot associate with those who aren't on my level. It's a corrupt spirit that puts itself so high on a pedestal that some miss opportunities from God. Opportunities to minister. Opportunities to give a word of knowledge. Opportunities to share something very valuable. Opportunity to do what God has really called them to do. But because I'm superior and it's beneath my dignity to do that, I'm going to pass. We can't lead people to Christ from a superior position. It's impossible. It's a corrupt spirit that says because I think so highly of myself, I can live how I want, talk how I want, disrespect people. Even though God has brought me out, God has blessed me, God has saved me, God has given me everything I have, because I think so highly of myself. I can exalt myself to His level now and reduce Him down to me and live however I want to live. Then we have the corrupt spirit that says, even though I know Jesus is the Lord of my life, I know what Jesus has done in my life, I've seen the power Jesus has displayed in my life, I still feel inferior. And I walk around in defeat. Some of us have such a slave mentality mindset, impoverished mindset, such a mindset of defeat. We just now getting done with Christmas, and it amazed me how in 2 days, I went back to work for 2 days. The amount of people I heard complaining about how poor I am, how broke I am. I'm just so poor. We can't afford this, we can't afford that. 2 cars, house, plenty of food. You eating on McDonald's while you're complaining about this. Who said you poor? Who said you don't have? Who said you can't afford? It's a mindset of defeat. It's a corrupt spirit. It's an impoverished mindset. Because I feel so inferior about myself, when a blessing comes my way, I feel I don't deserve it. I know I'm called by God. I know I have a calling on my life, but I don't feel adequate to step out into it. Because I feel inferior about myself, because I feel I can't measure up to man and what man says and what man does and what man has. Because I feel inferior, it's okay for me because I know what God says about me, and I should know who God says I am, but I always put myself down. I always try to measure up to everybody else. That kind of lack of self-esteem and that kind of corrupt spirit makes you ineffective for ministry. Makes you ineffective witness for Jesus. And the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So if we understood who we were, if we understood what we were doing, we would know the likeness that we're created in. We would know it's not man that validates us. It's not stuff that validates us. It's not no car that validates us. It's not no woman that validates you. It's not your friends that validate you. It's not what the coach says that validates you. It's not what some piece of paper says that validates you. God validates you. Yes. God is your source. Yes. Amen. It's God that qualifies you, not man. God says, I love the underdog. God says, I love the sinner. I just don't love what they do. I came to save the sinner. I didn't come to save the righteous. I'm not concerned with the righteous. I'm not concerned with the puffed up. I'm not concerned with the superior. I'm concerned with those who are in poor spirit. He said it's not the healthy that needs a doctor, but the sick. I came to save the sinner, not the righteous. Go and find out what this means. I require mercy and not sacrifice. God said, I love the underdog. I love the underdog. God said, 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 I love the under We're going to talk about Gideon today. One of the greatest underdogs of all time. Judges chapter 6, we'll start in verse 1. Then the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord. So the Lord delivered them into the hand of Midian for 7 years. This is a current thing in the book of Judges. Israel, they get delivered. They go back to idolatry. They go back to Baal worship and all these different things. God sends another judge, delivers them. Another one. What was the evil they did in the sight of the Lord? It's idolatry. Baal worship. Things God told them not to do. And the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel because the Midianites, the children of Israel made, because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made for themselves the dens, the caves, and the strongholds, which are in the mountains. They go all the way from prosperity, from blessing, from abundance, from provision, to being cave dwellers, living in caves, living in mountains, by way of their own disobedience. So it was whenever Israel had sown, the Midianites would come up. Also Amalekites and the people of the east would come up against them. Then they would encamp against them and destroy all the produce of the earth, as far as Gaza, and leave no sustenance for Israel. Neither sheep, nor ox, nor donkey. For they would come up with their livestock and their tents coming in as numerous as locusts. Both they and their camels were without number, and they would enter the land to destroy it. So Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites, and the children of Israel cried out to the Lord. And it came to pass when the children of Israel cried out to the Lord because of the Midianites, that the Lord sent them a prophet to the children of Israel, who said to them, Thus says the Lord God of Israel, I brought you up from Egypt and brought you out of the house of bondage. I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, out of the hand of all who oppressed you, and drove them out before you and gave you their land. Also I said to you, I am the Lord your God. Do not fear the gods of the Amorites and those in whose land you dwell. But you have not obeyed my voice. Same thing as today. It's like our culture today. God brings us out. He blesses us. We want. We're at church. Need more money. Need new job. Really want a house. I so want a husband. I so want a wife. Pray and cry out to the Lord for these things. Finally, He gives it. We're blessed. We have everything we want. We have everything we need. We become self-sufficient. We don't need God no more. We exalt ourselves to the level of God. And we think that we could actually be our own God. That's our culture today. And God says, need I remind you, like He told the Israelites, need I remind, I'm the one who brought you out. You didn't bring yourself out. I'm the one who delivered you. You didn't deliver yourself. See, we forget these things. Everything we have is from God. Everything we get, God gives to us. Even our kids. God gave us those kids. God gave you a husband. God gave you a wife. God gave you a job. Everything we get is from God. We forget. When we was in those undesirable places, who brought us out? We didn't bring ourselves out the dope house. God did. We didn't bring ourselves out of that bondage we was in out on the streets. God did it. But see, as soon as we get blessed, we become self-sufficient. So God has to send us reminders, as He did the Israelites, humiliating reminders, which some of us in our adult life have been through, some of them. Some of us who've been through some of those humiliating experiences know what that's like, to be humbled by God when He has to remind us. I'm the one who brought you out, God says. Our culture today, like Israel, is consumed with idolatry, worship of things, worship of people. We crave it. We measure ourselves by it. Actually, what is done today in the church, if you really listen to people's prayer life, even on TV, it's become the main motive and basis of our prayer. More. We need bigger ties to build a bigger building. For what? Holy Spirit not moving enough in the one you got? We need more money. We need bigger house. Need a car. It's just all stuff. It's become the basis of our prayer life. More money. Then when we get it, who gets all the credit? Who gets the glory? We take it. God don't get the glory, we take it. And it's always prayer, just like our culture today. This stuff becomes the basis of our prayer, but only as a last resort. Never our first resource. Never. God uses these tough times. We cry about them, we complain about them, we try to pray our way out of them because we don't understand that our discipline is an example of God's grace and God's mercy to get us to turn back to Him. But we'll cry about it, we'll complain about it, the Bible says man's own folly ruins his life, but yet his heart rages against the Lord.
It's true.
So we get mad at God. We get mad at people. We'll blame people. Failing to realize it's our own rebellion. It's our own disobedience. It's our own ungratefulness, forgetfulness. That brings us to these humble situations where God has to take us through some things to bring us back. People really aren't the source of our problems. We get it all twisted. We get mad at people. We want to blame people just like the Israelites cried out to the Lord. The Midianites are oppressing us. God did that. People weren't the problem in that situation. God sent them because of rebellion. So I have a question today, church. Write this down. You have a pen. Whose standards are you afraid you're not measuring up to? What fears are keeping you from obedience? Is it rejection? Is it being alone, being open and honest? Is it keeping up with the Joneses? Is it losing your comfort to what somebody else may think of you? So, Judges chapter 6, verse 11. Now the angel of the Lord came and sat under the terebinth tree, which was in Ophrah, which belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, while his son Gideon threshed wheat in the winepress in order to hide it from the Midianites. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said to him, The Lord is with you, mighty man of valor. Gideon said to him, O my Lord, if the Lord is with us, then why has all this happened to us? And where are all his miracles which our fathers told us about, saying, Did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord hath forsaken us and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites. Then the Lord turned to him and said, Go and is mighty yours, and you shall save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have I not sent you? So he said to him, O my Lord, how can I save Israel? Indeed, my clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. Just like Gideon today, some of us, mighty men and women of valor, are hiding in our own wine press. Our own wine press. Hiding from prayer. Hiding from speaking a word of knowledge. Hiding from ministering. Hiding from speaking the truth. We're hiding in our wine press of comfort, of fun, of doubt, fear, excuses, of superiority or inferiority, failing to realize that there is might in being humble. God told Gideon, Go in this might of yours, and you shall save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have I not seen you? What is the might he's talking about? It's the might of being able to come to the place where I can boast in my weakness. Gideon was able to boast in his weakness to the Lord. The might he's talking about, and Gideon understood that, Lord, what I'm called to do, I'm too weak to do it. I can't do this on my own. I'm not capable. And the Lord said to him, Surely I will be with you, and you shall defeat the Midianites as one man. As one man. God doesn't call to qualify, He qualifies to call. That's a fact. Yes, it is. See, Gideon knew, if I do this, I'm not capable to do this on my own. I'm going to need some help. I'm going to need some help from God. Gideon boasted in his weakness. God would not use Gideon until Gideon recognized that he was insufficient. You see where I'm going with this, church? There's power in your weakness. Yes. There's power in what you think you can't do. God delights in that. But we got to be honest. We can't be superior in our own minds and to other people. We got to be honest. Gideon boasted in his weakness. We cannot receive the sufficiency of God's grace until we understand and are willing to admit our own insufficiency. Gideon had the might of the weak. God said, Go in this might of yours. Gideon had the might of the weak. knowing, see, Gideon knew, God's strength is made perfect in our weakness. Turn with me to 2 Corinthians 12:9. And he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My strength is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, most gladly, I will rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest on me. Some translations say weakness. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in needs, in persecution, in distress, for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. See, brother and sister, we're all called to something that we're not personally capable of. We're not capable of it. We need God's help. And a lot of us are sat and watched when prophetic word is given, when word of knowledge is spoken, and somebody speaks over you. Barely is received. Reason being why, because in the natural it seems impossible. I've seen people get words spoke over them, and they don't believe that it's going to come to pass. Because you're looking at it in the natural. In the natural it seems impossible. It's how in the world am I ever going to do this? Like me some years ago, you'd never get me up there to preach. It ain't going to happen. Because I knew my natural man and his natural strength, I'm incapable of doing it. I'm incapable. But when we come to a place when we understand that God's power is made perfect in our weakness, then He can display Himself among us. He can display Himself among us when we say, God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I know I'm incapable of doing this. I know I can't do this on my own. Holy Spirit, have your way. Then He can say, okay, I display myself among my child. And I speak through him. I do the talking. I'll make this thing come to pass. I'll have them sitting on top. And the main reason for it is because our natural man is not capable of doing what we're called to do. If that's the case, a lot of us be doing it already. Amen. But God knows. Amen. If I don't display myself among the children, I'm not going to get the glory. They ain't going to get the glory. Yep. So I have to display my power in them. Because God knows us. God knows how we are in our natural flawed state. We'll take the credit and give Him none. We'll never be greater than the call. Never. And that should humble us. That should sober us. It should be an exciting thing, actually. Because you never know what God is going to do. But for so many of us, some of us who have a high opinion of ourselves, it's not a humbling experience at all. We're not sobered by it at all. We've got such a high opinion of ourselves and we become so advanced in our own mind that it's actually beneath our dignity. It's actually beneath our dignity to get up there, go pray for this person. Go speak a word over this person. Some of us are so high-minded we can't even come to the altar when it's open. Because who might be looking at me? Again, we must be willing to boast in our weaknesses. This altar is not a place to be ashamed of. It's not a place of weakness. It's a place of power. It's a place where things get broke off of you. It's a place where things happen. It's a place where deliverance takes place. It's a place where God displays Himself among you. But we become so superior we can't even bring ourselves to do it. We become so superior we can't even bring ourselves to be free and worship. And this is why so many of us feel like we're stuck. So many of us feel like we're spinning our wheels. So many of us feel like, well, I don't know if God has a calling for me or not. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know if I just don't think He has a calling for. Maybe God's forgot about me. No, you haven't boasted in your weakness. There are many more mighty men and women of valor in this church. Everybody in here. There are many more preachers in here. Many more people who can sing. Many more people who can pray. So many can speak a word of knowledge. So many can pray over somebody. But to some, I can never do that. What am I supposed to say? Because sister does it so well, she makes it look easy. How can I ever measure up to that? It ain't meant for it to. She ain't who qualifies you. God does. Amen. I don't think I could ever preach like Dad does. It ain't meant for you to do. He doesn't qualify you. That's not where your validation comes from. Right. It comes from God.
That's right.
It's only when we're willing to reveal our weaknesses. We step out in faith. We say, all right, God, I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm trusting in you. Power be revealed. Judges chapter 6, verse 25. Okay. So it came to pass that same night that the Lord said to him, take your father's young bull, the second bull of 7 years old, and tear down the altar of Baal that your father has, and cut down the wooden image that is beside it, and build an altar to the Lord your God on top of this rock in the proper arrangement, and take the second bull and offer a burnt offering with the wood of the image which you shall cut down. So Gideon took 10 men from among his servants and did as the Lord had said to him. But because he feared his father's household and the men of the city, too much to do it by day, he did it by night. And when the men of the city arose early in the morning, there was the altar of Baal torn down, and the wooden image that was beside it cut down. And the second bull was being offered on the altar which had been built. So they said to one another, Who has done this thing? And when they had inquired and asked, they said, Gideon, the son of Joash, has done this thing. Then the men of the city said to Joash, Bring out your son, that he may die, because he hath torn down the altar of Baal, and because he hath cut down the wooden image that was beside it. But Joash said to all who stood against him, Would you plead for Baal? Would you save him? Let the one who would plead for him be put to death by morning. If he's a god, then let him plead for himself, because his altar has been torn down. See, Gideon understood. Although it was his family involved in this thing, it was people close to him in his community, he understood that this call on his life, he couldn't be politically correct or popular by way of what was being condoned in that community, by way of silence. This was God's call on his life. First things first, if you're going to serve me, I'm going to display my power in you. You got to cut down the idols in your life.
Amen.
You got to get rid of the things that's hindering you. So I say this to the church today. Will it stir up things to do this? Sure it will. Will it cause some upheaval? Maybe. But the bottom line is we can't afford to compromise.
Right.
Gideon understood this early on. We must take a stand no matter how uncomfortable the situation may seem. God will honor those that honor Him. So we must cut down the idols in our life. We must cut down and tear down the things that are hindering us. What are you allowing in your household? What are some of the things that you allow in everyday life and condone by way of silence?
That's right.
Yes.
Some of us know good and well we haven't been brutally honest with some of our loved ones.
Yeah.
2020's coming. And I feel like God's saying it's time to have that conversation.
Yes, it is.
Some of us haven't been brutally honest with our own kids. And it's a tough thing to do, I understand, but it has to be done. God said, if you're going to serve me, I want your house in order.
Yes.
See, anybody can have faith in public. Anybody can have faith in church. What's going on in private? He must be magnified in your home. It's a tough thing. For some of us, we have to do it. Be brutally honest with our own kids. I've had to do it at times, and I'm told I'm harsh. I get myself in trouble sometimes, but it has to be done. My dad's had to be brutally honest with me. It didn't feel good at the time at all. It's a conversation that was necessary. What are we going to allow? How far are we going to let it go? What road are we going to let our kids go down? We must cut that stuff out. What's being played on social media in your home? What's on the TV? What's on the social media platforms? My wife's really strict about games at first. I was in opposition to it, like, man, it's just a game. It's fun. But I'm thankful she keeps a handle on that kind of thing. You don't always know what's being, the images, the things that's being portrayed, the things that's being picked up. Gotta guard our home. We gotta protect our young people. The Bible says, train a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they will not depart from it. We have to take a stand. Especially the men this day and time. A lot of us do play the role of Ahab. We let a lot of things go for the sake of peace and for the sake of just, alright, I don't want to be bothered with it. Make a decision and leave me alone. But we have to take a stand. And again, brutally honest. You can't hang out over here. You can't go over there. No, don't follow that one. Don't hang out with this one. Don't go this way. Don't do that way. I don't want this person at my house. As harsh as it may seem, Gideon had the mighty caring because he cared about the low place of Israel. He cared about the low place of his household. He cared about the low place of his community. God said, go in this might of yours. That's part of the might he was talking about. He had a genuine care about the state of that community. Enough to say, we got to cut this stuff out. I'm cutting down this altar. We're tearing all this up. I don't care what kind of strife it's going to cause. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Judges chapter 7, verse 1. Then the Lord said to Gideon, wrong verse. Then Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, and all the people who were with him rose early and encamped beside the well of Heron, so that the camp of the Midianites was on the north side of them by the hill of Morah in the valley. And the Lord said to Gideon, the people who are with you are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands. Let Israel claim glory for itself against me, saying, my own hand has saved me. See, there we go again. God told him, you need to trim your army down, man. It's too many for me to give the Midianites into your hand. If I give you a big, bulky army, if I give you the comfort and the resources and make this thing easy for you to win, what's going to happen? You're going to get the glory. I'm not going to get the glory. He said, Israel will claim glory for itself against me, saying, my own hand has saved me. Now therefore proclaim in the hearing of the people, saying, whoever is fearful and afraid, let him turn and depart at once from Mount Gilead. And 22,000 of the people returned, and 10,000 remained. But the Lord said to Gideon, the people are still too many. Bring them down to the water, and I will test them for you. Then it will be that of whom I say to you, this one shall go with you, the same shall go with you, and whomever I say to you, this one shall not go with you, the same shall not go. So he brought the people down to the water, and the Lord said to Gideon, everyone who has lapped from the water with his tongue, as a dog laps, you shall set apart by himself. Likewise, everyone who gets down on his knees to drink. And the number of those who lapped, putting their hand to their mouth, was 300 men. But all the rest of the people got down on their knees to drink water. Then the Lord said to Gideon, by the 300 men who lapped, I will save you, and deliver the Midianites into your hands. Let all the people go, every man to his place. So the people took provisions and their trumpets in their hands, and he sent away all the rest of Israel, every man to his tent, and retained those 300 men. Now the camp of Midian was below him in the valley. Only 300 men to battle what? 32,000? See, this is the power of God. See, God wanted Gideon to see. Okay, you boasted in your weakness. You've been honest with me about who you are, your inability, how you feel about yourself. So I'm going to trim you all the way down to 300, and I'm going to still declare victory in this thing. See, the moral of the story is church people can never be too small for God to use.
Amen.
Ever. God refuses to let him have it easy. Just like us. When we have all the finances, when we have all the resources, when we have everything we want, need, and everything's good, we exalt ourselves. We're self-sufficient then. We take God's glory. God wants his children to depend completely on him. The glory always belongs to him. If victories make people's God if victories make God's people, self-reliant, those victories are more disastrous than defeat would be. It's important for us to understand that convenience isn't always best. Comfort isn't always best. It's a good story for our teens today as well. You know, high school's hard, high school's tough. You start finding out a lot of things about yourself. But if I can tell you teens anything today, if you learn anything from this story today, is that God delights himself in the underdog.
Yes.
God delights himself in the things that are deemed to be weak. God delights himself in the nerd that nobody wants to date.
Yes.
God delights himself in the kid who sits on the bench and is not the jock. God delights himself in the people that are deemed as being the least. We talked about it in that Bible study too. It's funny how things turn out in life. Funny how the nerdy girl with the big old braces, the big old bottle cap glasses and all that grows older to be the beauty queen. The one nobody wanted to date, right? I remember telling my son once, I said, you know who the guys are that ultimately end up prospering? I said, it's so Fred, those great big old bottle cap glasses on, and the funny pants, and the one that don't look too good and everybody laughs at. Say you look up 20 years down the road, he's the one retired and doing good. while those who made fun of him, the jocks, the people, you know, who were popular, they're not doing so good. God delights in the underdog. And that's a good thing for us to remember going into 2020. It's important for us to get a hold of this. Because what's impossible with man is always possible with God. And Gideon understood that he was going to need God. He was going to have to be honest with God. And that God's power will be made perfect in his weakness. I'm going to close with 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 26. For you see your calling, brethren, that not many wise according to the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called, but God has chosen the foolish things of the world to put to shame the wise. And God has chosen the weak things of the world to put to shame the things which are mighty, the base things of the world, the things which are despised. God has chosen, and the things which are not to bring to nothing the things that are, that no flesh should glory in his presence. All thanks and praise be to God. God chooses people like Gerald, okay? The one people would say is the underdog.
That's right.
That's God's chosen.
Good word.
God uses the people like George, Ronnie. He uses the people. Sometimes we see out holding a cardboard sign outside of Walmart. The people look down their nose at. God uses the ex-felon. He uses the drug addict. God uses the poor people. He delights himself in those considered to be least. The Bible said, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. So in closing, only 300 men went out with trumpets, torches, and jars to meet the marauding Midianites. God sent confusion into the ranks of the enemy so that they began attacking each other. When it was over, 120,000 Midianites had killed one another, and the other 15,000 fled. It was over. God had answered Israel's prayers. He used a common man who believed God. He used just a common man, Gideon, who displayed his weakness. He said, God, I'm not capable to do this on my own. He used Gideon. 135,000 men against 300. That's what God does. He displays himself among us. So in closing, Gideon was hiding in the wine press, afraid, threshing wheat. Everybody knows you don't thresh wheat down in a hole in the ground. You're supposed to thresh wheat out in the open so the wind blows away the chaff.
Yes.
He was hiding so the wheat wouldn't get stolen. In this new year, church, God's calling you to come out of your own wide praise. He's calling you to boldness, to be radical for Him. Some of us have been holed up in the wine press for a long time. Let us be free this morning as we close to boast in your weakness. The altar's open. God wants to do something in your life this new year. The stuff that's been hindering you, the stuff that's been holding you back, the stuff that's been bothering you, God wants to break it off of you. She said, you can't move forward until I remove it. So be free to boast in your weakness this morning.